Hey guys, it's Cayley. I am back with another What Sold from last week video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over my sales that are happening on my two biggest platforms, which are eBay and Poshmark. We'll do a quick breakdown and then I'll dive into some of the items that sold. All right, so all of these sales we're talking about happened between October 26th through November 1st. Cannot believe we're in November already, but here we are. In total, I sold 134 items between two platforms, eBay and Poshmark. I also had several $100s worth of sales on Depop, which I am hoping to make a video about just of my Depop sales very soon, hopefully this week or this upcoming week. But for just eBay and Poshmark, 134 items for gross item sales of a little over $3,700. My average item sale price, meaning not including anything that I receive for shipping, just the items themselves, was around $28, much lower than what I want to see, but I did run a closet clear out last week, which skewed my average sale price a bit. On eBay, I sold 66 items. On Poshmark, I actually sold 68, which is weird to be selling more on Poshmark than on eBay. But again, that was due to closet clear out and moving some of those older items. Let me know down in the comments, since Poshmark has had their shipping change where buyers are paying less for shipping, has that impacted your sales at all? Are you finding that more people are buying from you? Do you think it's impacted at all? Have you not really thought about it? I haven't really thought about it until now. We just recently, over the last couple of months, started cross-posting on Poshmark again. And so I can't really attribute any one change to any one particular thing that we're doing because there's so much going on at once. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know down below if you haven't had any major changes, just that one. So lots of sales on Poshmark. On eBay, my average item sale price was around $33, and on Poshmark it was at $23. But I did have a lot of great sales on Poshmark outside of closet clear out, so let's take a look at those as well. Let's start on eBay. This first one is something that may look familiar to you. My husband went to his childhood bedroom at his parents' house and we found some really old Y2K hoodies, and I listed them, of course, because they were just going to get donated. So this was a $0 cost of goods to me. This was, I believe, the only one that has sat since I've listed it. And Hollister is just now becoming trendy. It was all the Abercrombie at first. So this is a vintage Y2K Hollister hoodie. And for whatever reason, it sat longer than my 90-day goal. So we dropped the price on that and it sold at our dropped price of around $47. So zero cost of goods into 47. Let's see, that took about 7 months to sell. Next up, here is a hoodie that did not take very long to sell. It is a Monster Energy hoodie. If you guys see anything Monster Energy branded, especially with Fox Racing, but even just Monster Energy, it definitely increases value. There are tons of people looking for Monster Energy branded stuff, and it has a significantly high sell-through rate. I come across them fairly often. So this is a men's full zip size small hoodie, very Y2K inspired. This one I listed at $40. Had it had a bigger graphic on the front or back, I would have probably have listed it higher. And it was also missing its drawstring. So $40, this one was from the bins. It sold for my full asking price of $30. And this one only took a few weeks to sell. Next up is a brand I love finding still. It is XCVI, and this, although it doesn't say it, is XCVI. This is their wearables line, and I find that they still continue to have a really decent following, and I can flip items pretty quickly. This item sold towards the end of my 90-day mark. It is a full zip jacket, so a more substantial piece. Listed this for $45. It did sell for a full asking price of $45, and I originally paid $9 for that. Next up is more of a style-based piece. This is something that we got reworked, meaning we ended the listing because it took too long to sell. We got it relisted, refreshed the title, and added best offer, and it quickly sold after that. Icelandic Design is not really a bolo brand anymore, but they do have a lot of style-based factor stacking stuff that could perform well if you get the right piece. So this is a vintage Y2K boiled wool. That's what this type of wool is, with some embroidery details. It was very Nordic, very cottagecore, so we included all of those keywords. Listed this again for 40 or best offer, and it sold this time around for a full asking price of $40. I originally paid $6, and after getting it relisted, only took 3 weeks to sell. Next up is a pair of jeans that sold literally at 90 days. This is Peter Millar. It is one of my favorite brands to find in the men's department. Not all of their stuff sells well, but certainly their more substantial pieces can. This is a pair of men's straight leg jeans. Listed these for $40. They sold for a full asking price of $40, and again took about 90 days to sell. We got these from the bins, where my average cost of goods is $1.50. Next up, this is another quick sale. This is Peruvian Connection. This is an excellent brand to look for during this time of the year. They are very well known for their sweaters with their alpaca materials. This one was an alpaca sweater, a little bit oversized, rib details, but it was also a size extra small, which kind of pulled the value down a little bit. I ended up listing this for $40, and it sold on an offer to watcher for $34. I got this in wholesale from a seller for $8, and this one only took 5 days to sell. Next up, this one's so crazy because this just sold for more than the Peruvian Connection, which is this no-name brand, Speechless Y2K dress. Buyers, you guys know, you've been watching all my videos. This is a style people are looking for. These Y2K dresses, especially this fitted silhouette where the bust is shorter at the top. This one has a little bit of a sweetheart neckline. This dress I listed for $35. I used the keywords Y2K and coquette. This sold for my full asking price of $35, and this one took about 90 days to sell. I originally paid $2.75. Next up, this one did take a little while to sell. So instead of 90 days, it was about 120 days, so about a month longer. This is Sundance. It is a just puff sleeve sweater, but it was new with tags. So that's the main reason I got it, for factor stacking. Use the keywords cottage core on this. This is a very cottage core sweater. And it got listed for $35, sold for full asking price of $35. Next up, we have one of my favorite brands to find in the men's department right now, which is Faherty. This one I was lucky enough to get through wholesale with the tag still attached. You can see this retails for a ton, $148. It was also reversible, larger size, so super great piece. When it comes to Faherty, you really need to figure out, in my opinion, the exact style name of the item, because it can make a huge difference in your comps. This one's called the Cloud Reversible Crewneck Sweater. I listed this for $35. It sold for my full asking price of $35, and this one only took a couple of weeks to sell. This was also a super quick flip, although it is not a Bolo brand. It is just Gap. This is a completely style-based piece in the men's department, and I've been telling you guys for months now that men's cardigans perform so well in fall and winter. This was the perfect piece for a men's cardigan in a not so great brand. So this is a size large, cable knit, shawl, neckline, full button, and a great colorway. Neutral colors perform better for me, and tans and browns like this I see perform even better. I listed this one for $35. We picked it up from the bins. Again, my average cost of goods there is $1.50, and this sold for my full asking price of $35 in just 8 days after being listed. Next up, another LL Bean item. One of my favorite brands, guys. I find it all the time, and I try to find it in more substantial pieces, especially the men's department. This is a full zip fleece jacket. It was called the Mountain Classic Fleece Jacket. I got this at a thrift store for $6.99, listed for $35, sold for my full asking price. This one, however, did take a couple of months to sell. All right, this was another super quick flip. This is the brand Cachet. A lot of vintage cachet stuff is selling well. This isn't your typical aesthetic that you want to look for. It's more the Y2K stuff. However, this was an older label. and it was a chain print, screamed very equestrian, scarf print, all of those things. And so even though it wasn't technically screaming like the Y2K aesthetic that people are looking for, the flirty ones, it was screaming something else. And I thought that it could be a good flip. I picked this up for $4.99 at my local thrift store, listed for $35. It sold for full asking price of $35. And this one only took 6 days to sell. All right, this was an item that sold towards the end of 90 days. This is one of my favorite brands to find in belts. We should do a deep dive on belts soon. It's been a while, but I love finding the smaller items in categories that people generally don't look for at thrift stores, and belts is definitely one of them. There are tons of bolos within belts, hats, scarves, all of the things. So this is a brand I look for. It's called Silpada. They typically make very nice leather belts with statement pieces, and they tend to steer kind of Western. I listed this belt for $30, and it sold for my full asking price of $30. And again, this one took about 90 days to sell. I originally paid $2.99. I used keywords like Italian leather, statement, chunky, and Southwestern. Here's another completely style-based item. This is by the brand Notations, and it is a size 1X. It is fully tiered, kind of patchwork style, dark floral, so lots of great things going for it. I included keywords like dark floral, tiered, whimsy goth, and of course maxi for the length. Listed for $30, sold for my full asking price of $30, and this sold within about 2 weeks of being listed for full asking price, and we got this for $1.50 at the bins. This was an item I have been experimenting with. I picked this dress up from a thrift store for $6. It is not a brand I would memorize, but they do have some cool style-based stuff. It is a vintage dress. This dress had like all amazing factors of Y2K. However, it was a larger size, which in Y2K sometimes can decrease the sell-through rate and the value of the item, but it literally had every other factor. So I decided to get it, and you can see in my custom label, my SKU, we put test so that I can follow back up on this item and see if that experiment worked. And it did indeed work. So I might be experimenting with some larger sizes moving forward, but because of the larger size, I priced very competitively at just $30. Had this been in a smaller size that I think would have fit the Y2K crowd a little bit better, I would have probably priced this for like over 60, like way higher, because it had so many great factors. This item was trending on pretty much every site that I listed it on and had a lot of interest. It ended up selling for full asking price of $30, and it only took 2 weeks to sell. This is Lucky brand. It is not a brand that I look for a lot, but what I do look for are men's corduroy pants right now during fall and winter. And so because these were men's, they are corduroy, they were kind of a darker color, all factor stacking, I decided to get them. Got this from the bins for $1.50, listed for $25, sold for full asking price of $25. This one took about 2 months to sell. All right, this was a really fun sale. This one definitely took about a month longer to sell than I would have liked, so about 4 months instead of 3. But it was an experiment I wanted to try. So I came across this flannel at the thrift store, and I was like, man, that looks an awful lot like an ASO as seen on item that I covered in a friend's video. And it wasn't the exact same item, but it kind of had that like vibe, kind of that colorway. And I was like, you know what, let me test this out. Let me see if I can get this to sell as an alternative. Now, I originally listed this much higher, around $45, and it sat. We then dropped the price and slapped best offer on, and then we quickly got an offer for $25, which I went ahead and accepted. So fun experiment. Definitely didn't get as much as I wanted to, but I'm going to try continuing doing these alternatives in the future, and I'll follow back up with you guys. Next up is an item that also took about 90 days to sell. It is a Free People item. I like finding Free People items in size large and extra large. This one was a beautiful full button top in a size large, gorgeous color for fall. It had some really unique details. It had this like poet sleeve here, so I included that in the title, as well as oversize, which is a trending factor right now. This ended up selling for our dropped price of around $30. And like I said, this took about 90 days to sell. This is a brand I like getting in plus sizes, especially in a 3X. 3X is a factor in plus sizes. That particular size performs more like way better than the other sizes. So 3X is a heavy factor for me. So logo Lori Goldstein size 3X, full zip, tunic, hooded top, listed for $25, and it sold for my full asking price of $25. We got this from a wholesaler. I have a wholesaler who wholesales a lot of plus size stuff to us. I actually have two that wholesale a lot of plus size stuff to us, and this was from one of them. Just great bread and butter to bring in that we really enjoy selling and using to pad our sales. So sold for full asking price. This one took a little under a month to sell. Here is another completely style-based piece. This is Massini, not a brand I would normally get. However, one from one of our plus size wholesalers. This is a size 2X kimono, new with tags, beautiful velvet burnout. So this was more of a testing item. We don't normally get anything besides tops, so not normally jackets and kimonos and things like that. However, lots of great factors, even though it wasn't a great brand. Listed for $25, sold for our full asking price of $25, and this one also sold in a little under a month. All right, this is an item from the bins we got for $1.50 because I definitely would not pay up for this brand, which is Shein. We've sold a lot of Shein stuff lately. I don't obviously seek after it, but if it is a great style, we will definitely consider flipping it. We just price it super low to make sure that it moves because the quality is not so great. But this had I could see this being a Reformation dress, possibly even a Doan dress. So great style, incredible. Looks like it could be a dupe for a lot of things. Has all of the factors that buyers are looking for. We included some really great keywords such as puff sleeve, floral, milkmaid, baby doll, maxi, and coquette. And again, just listed this for $25 because we want to ensure that it moves quickly. And it sold for full asking price of $25. This one also sold within just a few weeks after being listed. All right, this is an item that got price dropped. It took a little bit longer to sell than we would have liked. Not a brand I would memorize. We've been experimenting with some of these longer length dark floral skirts just to see how we can move them. And they sell for about $25 for us. So I paid $1.50, super low cost of goods. It did sell for that dropped price of $25 in just a couple of months. Something else I've been getting, and I mentioned this in recent videos as to what to pick up for fall and winter. This is something I do every year. I get men's thermals, especially men's thermal Henleys with factor stacking. So in this case, it is a Y2K men's Old Navy Henley long sleeve size large item. So just Old Navy, but definitely a Y2K style and a good color for fall, listed for $25, sold for full asking price of $25. This sold within just a couple of months. Also, something I look for bread and butter wise are Duluth Trading Company larger sizes, especially in the women's. I've noticed that their larger size pants and tops perform well. This is a size 14 women's pair of cargo pants. I listed this for $25. It sold for full asking price of $25 and only took a couple of months to sell. I only paid 25 cents for this because I got it at a fill-a-bag. All right, here is an item that took longer to sell than I would have liked, about a month longer, but I think it's because we priced it too high in the beginning. I don't know why we priced it higher because honestly, I always sell Affliction for about $25, so we should have just priced it there to begin with. But this is an Affliction men's larger size thermal shirt. That's probably why we priced it higher, and it ended up sitting at that price, but it did end up flipping immediately after dropping price for around $24. And again, this one took about 4 months to sell versus 30. And that's where I feel like a lot of resellers get hung up. If you make this mistake for every item, it really piles up in your store. A $5 difference could be the difference of something selling that month or selling multiple months later. I personally am aiming for a quick flip, so I'm trying really hard to get myself and my team to price competitively. All right, moving on to some of the Poshmark sales. Like I said, I did closet clear out, so there's a lot of stuff that went for clearance prices, but then there's also stuff that sold for about full asking price for really good amounts of money. So those are what I'm going to share with you today. The first one is a Y2K rule number 925 men's sweatshirt. This was a brand by Abercrombie that is no longer sold. If you can find it in a Y2K piece, especially men's, it does perform well. This one ended up selling for $50. Next up, completely unbranded. I do this a lot with sweaters if they are cashmere or alpaca or something like that. I'll get them unbranded. This one, I tried everything to figure out what the actual brand was because I had a feeling this was like a really nice brand, but I could not find out anything. It's also made in Turkey. It had a specific style name on it. I couldn't find any information. I tried, so we listed it unbranded and it ended up selling for $23. Here's Peter Millar again. This one is a summer comfort polo. I find if you factor stack, these will even sell in winter just for a lower price. So this one sold for $25. A bra brand that I love getting is SheFit, specifically their sports bras that have the adjustable straps like this one. This one had a little bit of wear, but it still sold for a decent amount on an offer to watcher for $29. Here's a new-ish brand to me. It's called Wowie. I think they're most well known for their shorts and their pants, and you can usually find them, like an indicator that it's them is they usually have some kind of little strip on the garment that looks like this. These pair of men's pants are called the Sapien pants. I had them listed for around $35 and accepted an offer of $27. These ones sold super quickly. Some keywords that I like using for this brand are hiking, outdoors, and trails. All right, this is a kids item. I don't sell a lot of kids, but I'm trying to get better at it. And sometimes I do find some cute little kid stuff. This is Lily Pulitzer, which is absolutely a brand that I would look for in kids. We've sold a lot of Lily Pulitzer kids. This one was called the Skipper Sherpa Popover. Skipper in women's is a very trendy style, and so it makes sense that in the little kids it would as well. We actually listed this for around $35, and our automatic offers to watchers sent an offer out for $29 almost immediately after a buyer watched it, and it sold immediately on that offer. So that's why I really like having services like Posher VA send out offers shortly after somebody likes it at a reasonable amount so you can capture those sales quicker. Next up, this was an awesome sale. Here's Old Navy again. Old Navy for the win again. This is a men's Y2K hoodie by Old Navy. Old Navy is not a brand I would seek after in Y2K stuff. However, this hoodie had like all of the things that, I guess not all, it could have had a graphic on it. That would have been even better. But it was thick, it was lined, and it had all the great things going for a Y2K hoodie. So we listed this high and it sold for around our full asking price of $50. $50, a men's Old Navy hoodie. This is why knowing style-based stuff really pays off. Next up is a brand I don't get anymore. It is Draper James, but they do have, I guess it's a brand where I like factor stacking and style-based sourcing a lot. So this is a Draper James wool blend women's Christmas sweater. A lot of Fair Isle, holiday, and also in a color scheme that just screams Christmas. And this ended up selling for $40 on Poshmark. Next up is Torrid. I don't pick up a whole lot of Torrid anymore. However, this was a size 5X and it was a puffer jacket. So we looked it up and saw that there were good comps. This ended up selling for $50. This is a crazy sale. I love, speaking of belts earlier, places that a lot of sellers don't look. Also, pajamas. Pajamas are not something that a lot of resellers look for. This is the brand Print Fresh. I believe we got this set at the bins. This is a pajama brand sold at Anthropologie, and the tag doesn't always look like this. Sometimes it just says Print Fresh. Sometimes there's like a little face, but you need to memorize Print Fresh. So they usually have some really nice prints on them. This set was a size 1X, which also helped to significantly elevate the value. I think we had these listed for around $85 and accepted an offer almost immediately for $65. Next up, this is a men's shirt. When it comes to men's button-up shirts, I'm always looking for some indication of stretch or tech, or performance, like this one says. So when I saw performance, I immediately wanted to look it up, and it had a decent sell-through rate. Plus, this one was a nice print and a larger size. So I listed this one for around $30 and accepted an offer of $25 on this one. If you guys see any kind of like techie material in men's clothing, I would always look it up. All right, this is a bolo brand that surprisingly I've been coming across a lot recently, but prior to this year did not find like it at all. It is, I think it's pronounced Oiselle. This is a running company brand that makes some really nice materials. They make shorts, tops, and things like that. This is a long sleeve running t-shirt, and I listed this for around $30 on Poshmark and sent out an offer to Watcher automatically through Poshmark VA, and it sold on that offer to Watcher almost immediately for $25. This is another bread and butter item. I like looking for Gymshark men's items specifically. The women's do not perform well for me, but the men's stuff does. This is a men's muscle tank top with a spell out in a size large, so great factor stacking. I believe this is my full asking price on Poshmark, which was $30. Something we've been finding at the bins a lot are wraps and carriers. This is a Solly baby adjustable wrap. And yeah, my sourcers have been finding a lot of these in different brand names. And this is just how we do the cover photo. We just kind of fold it up and make sure that the tag is showing. And surprisingly, there's a lot of brands that sell for really good money, even pre-owned. So might even do a deep dive into one of those very, very soon. This one ended up selling very quickly for $35. All right, these might look familiar to you. I showed these in a recent thrift haul. I came across a bunch of Fry boots and shoes at one store, and this was one of them that I picked up. These were called the Jane Strappy Suede boots. I listed these for I think around $75 and accepted an offer very quickly of $60. So this one out of all of the pairs that I got was one of the quicker sellers. Next up, this is a Mizzen and Main men's item. This brand as a whole isn't necessarily a bolo anymore, but there are pockets of bolos within the brand that I do like getting, especially substantial pieces. This is a men's zip pullover. It was called the ProFlex quarter zip. Listed this for $35. Again, Poshmark VA sends out automatic offers to watchers just minutes after somebody liking it, and this one sold on that automatic offer for $29. And next up is a category I'm getting in just about anything, which is cashmere sweaters. This is the brand 360 Cashmere. This one is a hooded sweater, and anything hooded is going to significantly increase value. This one was also oversized. Remember, that's a factor a lot of people are looking for. And so I priced this one a little bit up, more so than the other 360 Cashmere sweaters. Same exact thing with Poshmark VA, $35, sends out that immediate offer to Watcher. You want to close that gap on when people like it and could potentially become uninterested, and it's capturing so many sales for me. So just this week alone, with just what I've shown you on today's video, Poshmark VA has more than paid for itself and then made me money back. So I really love tools that automate things for me and remove having to think about it and pay for themselves. That's definitely one. There is a link down below, by the way, for Poshmark VA and a coupon code in my Linktree. You can go to it, try them out for free. They have a trial, and then use my code. You'll get a discount off of your first month. It is totally worth it. Next up, this is, and final one, this is Helly Hansen. I've shown a couple of these jackets in recent thrift hauls, and they are performing very well for me. Anything Helly Hansen substantial pieces, especially in the men's department, performs well. I think I got this, I think it was at the Benz. This is a waterproof nylon jacket in a size extra large. I think I originally sent this or listed it for about 50-ish, and I accepted an offer pretty quickly for $40. All right, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already, consider subscribing down below and make sure to hit that notification bell. Turn it to all, that way you get notified when all of my videos go live. I do these what sold videos every single week, so more bolos to come. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.